give her and while she's joining and connecting.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, yay. I don't know what my child broke my stand. This is what happens. This is a casualty of working from home with children.
Well, I haven't been able to find mine at all, so I'm doing
I'm gonna have to hold it with my hand.
That's okay. I can't do that at all because my hands are so shaky.
No, well, thanks for having me for part two. Here,
I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that I got to share and thanks for having me on to finish. But I'm going to let you ask the questions.
Oh, why?
Whatever questions you have.
Well, first, do a little. So I'm Jessica Keenan-Smith, founder of Living Well with Epilepsy, and my guest today is Monica Weldon, and her handle is Singap_Rare Tiger Mom. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm Monica Weldon, and first and foremost, I'm the mother of 5 children. One of those children set me on the path now, which is Beckett, and so I'm the mother of 5 great kids, and that set me to what I'm doing now, which I'm the president, CEO, and founder of Bridge the Gap SINGAP Education and Research Foundation, and I am on a mission to try to find these kiddos and my son a treatment, and I don't plan on stopping until I'm about 6 feet underground, and then maybe I might come back and haunt some people if that's the case after that. So
the core of every good advocate, right?
Right. I know, you live and die advocacy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. So that word, I hesitated to use that word, advocate, for a really long time. Somebody asked me in a round table, probably 5 or 6 years ago, what started you in advocacy, and what's your view on advocacy, and my hackles went up, and because I just didn't see myself as an advocate. And I think, kind of anytime you're putting yourself out there and putting, kind of your mission forward, whether or not you think of yourself that way, you are an advocate.
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I think, you almost, I don't want to use the word public figure, but really when you put yourself out there and you really start, you have to be spot on. You've got to be ready with questions that you're asked, and you have to know all the knowledge around it. And honestly, I think it's a much harder job than people really think, with just the word advocacy, because you really become a key opinion leader in your own right, I guess. When you're putting yourself out there, and believe you me, when you put yourself out there, you're not just doing all the good stuff, but you get some slack, especially if you're wrong about something, man. It is, and I guess that's why I kind of think sometimes when you put yourself in that, I don't want to say public figure, that's
forward facing. I like forward facing.
Yeah, because when you use public figure, somebody said
that feels
you're not a movie star, and I said, okay, well, I was like, there's nothing else in the list, like when I was setting up my web page and my Facebook page. So now I have myself set as a motivational speaker. So I am a motivational speaker / advocate. So
next to come is your book, and then
yes,
motivational speaker is an author and founder /
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's amazing how you could take something, I think you have two choices in life when bad things happen to you. You can either let it eat you alive, make you depressed, make you not want to live, really, like in living. I think I'm not talking about dying. I'm talking about actually living life to its fullest. So you're kind of walking around in a live person's body, but dead in spirit, right? I mean, you're just dead in the heart, and you can't let something bad happen to you. So you can choose to do that, or you can choose to create something that's positive, that is going to give back. And, it's sad because I'm 51 years old, and all this stuff happened to me when I had my twins when I was 39. We found out Beckett, I knew something was wrong when he was 4 months old.
Yeah.
But taking that and accepting the fact that when he was diagnosed at 4, that there was nothing out there. And I really had people telling me, you're just a teacher and a mom. Who are you? Who do you think you are? You don't even have the background or the education to go and think you're going to change the world. Well, I actually,
guess what?
It's funny because I just read an email. I was hashing through, because I'm actually putting together my book, and I'm hashing through all my journals and all of the things that people actually, you got to be careful about what you put in writing. I'm just saying, because I went back to an email, a pretty scathing email that I got from someone that said, you don't know what you're doing. You're not going to be able to do it. And that was 6 years ago. And I'm like, wow.
Now's the time to go back to that person and ask them for money.
Yeah. You know what? I actually
thank you so much for
thanks for that support. Thanks for that motivation.
I
know. I mean, I can't. And if I would have let that one person decide and determine what my future was going to be, I wouldn't be where I am. So, it really is true. When you become a person that you put yourself out there, you've made yourself vulnerable. You've made yourself a target, right? I keep thinking a pioneer. You think
I'm starting to look like a pioneer woman.
I know, right? Hold on. Look at this gray right here.
Oh, it's sad. It's terrible.
I also noticed they're starting to put the spray root commercials on, by the way. So, anyway, as I digress, I kind of think of, these families that come in, because we're in the era of a new way we do research, and with the genomic studies and these new genes popping up, we are all pioneers that are going into this unknown landscape. And if you really think of the pioneers crossing the United States to go to the West to go search for gold, they got a lot of arrows going to the West, right? I mean, because when you're doing something that's never been done before, you would think that everybody would be on board.
Mistakes, and you're gonna fail, but you're gonna learn from those failures.
Yep. And you do take the brunt of the arrows that come in to hit you. And so I guess back to taking something bad that happens to you in life and turning it around, because I will tell you, and Jessica all too well, a little bit of my own personal story is that it's not all roses and it's not all smiles.
No.
And you just have to dredge through, and it's not easy doing what you do when it comes to building an organization, because it is when you're coming out of no experience. I didn't have any experience. I was on a steep learning curve, but someone to take on
you have to gather people around you that are smart and really good at what they do, and trust that that you're gonna know when to ask the right questions. And and I think you would agree that if if what you're doing is driven by, you know, true passion,
Mm-hmm.
then your heart will really guide you.
Right. Yeah. It
I mean,
is.
living well with epilepsy came out of frustration of trying to do something in epilepsy or rather the epilepsy blog relay came out of trying to do something in global health.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was trying to raise money and, you know, engage academia and trying to broaden the scope, and nobody was in it. And somebody finally said to me, well, why don't you do something to raise money for your own site? And I was like, yeah.
Why not? Right?
Yeah. And I was so pissed off and realized there were models out there. And so I just did.
You just do it. You just have to put, you know, I will say that the biggest thing I've learned through all of this, I'm very outspoken and very, very, I used to not be like that. I used to be very, very scared.
Really?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I struggled worrying about sounding stupid because I myself have learning disabilities and I have dyslexia, and and see that's where my book's coming in, is because in the 3rd grade, they told my parents I was mentally, well, okay, and I don't like to use this word, but this is what the word was in the 70s. I was mentally retarded, is what they said. I would never read above a 3rd grade level.
Do you think the person that said that is reading a peer-reviewed journal?
I plan on sending a signed copy. And when I got into high school, it was a struggle for me. I wasn't a straight A student.
Yeah. And
you just have to take, they told my parents, now I'm glad my parents never told me this, but the counselors tested me. They found out I had dyslexia in the 10th grade because I couldn't spell worth a flip. I hated reading aloud because I could not pronounce words correctly. Yeah. And so, believe it or not, I was very intimidated getting in front of people.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I've learned out of this whole experience is that I finally realized that this was for my son. Yeah. And that I was his voice, and the only person that was going to be able to speak to him was myself or somebody that was taking care of him. And I like his dad. And I got over that fear. And I think fear.
It's much easier when it's, you know, I don't know. For me, it's much easier when it's for someone else.
Yes, it is.
It's not that way for everyone. I understand that. But
yeah,
I think for personalities like you and me, it is.
It is. Yeah. You just overcome that fear, and you're not, because even I had a 6th grader. This is part of my book too. I had a 6th grader when I was debating.
You're giving all the good stuff away.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No. Oh no, I've got some really good stuff that's not out yet. Just wait. It's 16 chapters. Probably adding more to that. But yeah, I had a 6th grader tell me, come up to me in my classroom when I was trying to decide, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this organization? Because I can't keep doing this and doing it right unless I quit my job.
Yeah.
And he said, Miss Weldon, you always tell us that to not fear, and that if you do fail, it's not failure. It's only failure if you quit trying. So it's a learning experience. I was like, don't you have a test to be taking? You need to go sit right now. So, but he kind of threw my own advice back into my face. And then 4 months later, I quit my job teaching. And that was I had a panic attack when I sent that resignation letter in. But I really do believe that if you work through, anybody can do anything. Everyone has gifts. And like you said, if you don't have that strength in you, then you find somebody that's smarter than you.
Oh, yeah.
That can help you through it, because that's what you do. That's how you build your board. You build your board with people who are experienced and loyal to the mission. And if you have that, then you're going to be successful.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I gave away a little bit. I'm actually working on, I have somebody helping me edit right now, and I'm still writing. So it probably won't be ready for another 3 years.
God be with him or her.
God help them. God help them, but they're gonna go, oh my God, you wrote this. Hold on, let me revise.
So yesterday, I'm going to shift gears a little bit
Sure.
before I have to, because we're at 3:11 at this point. I know that we'll probably get cut off at like 3:20, 3:25. And I know that yesterday was a big day in the autism community.
Oh,
and
yes.
I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of touch on that, and maybe anything that you did that was special.
Well, okay. Well, we are, if you're newly on, SYNGAP1 is a single gene, and it is one of the top genes in the world linked to autism. And that was just published in a USA Today news article that featured the largest genomic study on autism and the genes in autism.
Will you send me that link?
I surely will.
And I'll just share that out.
Absolutely. And they have a graph, and it shows SYNGAP along with 2 other sister genes that are the 3 highest in the world. And it causes intellectual disability. It's an epilepsy gene, so a high percentage of our patients have epilepsy. But we're also have about 60% of our patient population on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
And I have to say that we created a video because, everything's online. And we created an autism video with some of our facts, and we reached over 500,000 people on that one post yesterday. One day I was like, I went and looked at the analytics, and I was like, that's 500,000 people that heard about SYNGAP1.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely a gene that's going to be linked to other disorders. And so, our kids have on the spectrum, they are probably one of the most severe. Yeah. They are, many of them are nonverbal totally, or they are partially verbal, but it's very hard for them to speak because of the lack of motor control and pronouncing words.
Are there any ties between, and I'm totally going off page, but are there any ties between like LGS, Dravet, and SYNGAP?
Yes. Many of our kids have been diagnosed with LGS. In fact, we have a couple that I know of that have both a SYNGAP1 and our Dravet gene. And unfortunately, one of the patients that was 2 that had both of those gene mutations passed away because of the gene mutation, they believe, combination with the Dravet. They don't think it was the SYNGAP1, but they do believe that it was the Dravet. So, we're looking at all that. We are now coming out with some information that's not published yet that shows that I know, we're excited. I mean, it's exciting stuff. It's sad, but exciting stuff because we're learning more about this. Yeah. But a lot of our kids follow that Dravet or the LGS pattern, where they grow into different types of seizures. And that was something that we just received news about Beckett about 2 weeks ago, that he has grown in not just having absence type seizures, but now he has grown into frontal temporal or partial complex seizures, which we had never seen before. Okay. And so now we've upped his medicine, but we might have to add another seizure med to it. But we're also seeing that a lot of the behaviors that our kids have are linked to those seizures, these obsessive compulsive, the meltdowns that they have,
and the nonverbal. Once you said nonverbal, and then I don't know, something about the sensory and the seizures, I was like, this sensory is all sounding very familiar. So
it seems we have a lot of these.
We're working in concert with the Tracy Salazars of the world, and the Christina Inocencios of the world, and the Mira Jane, and I'm blanking on her name, the Dravet Foundation.
Oh, there's, oh gosh, there's several of them.
I know. So the TS Alliance,
Yes,
basically.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're a huge, huge resource.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about all this is that when you get and start digging into the biology of it all, we're all these comorbidities or these symptoms overlap into each other. And when you go into that whole web, that whole genomic web of genes and how these genes talk to each other, I truly believe that once we can really understand how these genes work with other gene mutations and other genetic disorders, that we can actually target several therapies that will treat both or several disorders.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm a big believer in that broad base of understanding how all these genes work. And I mean, you know, it's really going to, I really do believe that we are close in the research community as we move forward to breaking wide open exactly how all this stuff works, and really getting help for these kids and these adults, you know, in fact, as well.
Because if you guys find something, there's hope really for the rest of us.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, because it is, you know, the brain is so complex, but I do believe that it's not so complex that we can't improve the quality of life of these people if we all just keep going and work together. That's the biggest thing. So, but yeah, it's I'm super excited about, you know, the work that we're doing and the work that's coming out.
Are there, before I lose you, are there you know, do you want to drop the URL or let people know about your, you know, upcoming study or anything like that?
Yeah, I can definitely send some info on that. And we have our new, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one, but we have our new SYNGAP1 resource guide. That's everything that's up to date.
That's available through the post that I created. And what I'll do after this is I'll create another post on Instagram and link back to that on living well with epilepsy. I'll also put it in my link tree. And that way it'll be easier to access.
Awesome. Yeah. And we're still working and planning on having our PFDD meeting at our international conference. And we're the first organization to have a patient meeting of this magnitude with the PFDD meeting at the NIH. So we just made a historical advancement into merging the FDA with the NIH with patient groups. So I'm super excited about that.
That's so great.
So, but yeah. We've got some great things.
I think we need to do more of these.
I do too.
Stay up to date on all the stuff that you're doing. You know, maybe in the future, we try to figure out, I don't know, some like how to get more people on this. I don't know.
Yeah. Girl, I will help. I will help. Promote all of your stuff and get all these little because you know we need to information, and I'm a teacher, right? I'm a teacher at heart. Knowledge is power. If you don't have knowledge, then you can't make educated decisions in life and then good assessments. So
I agree.
I am definitely all about that. So I will help.
Regular.
Oh, I would love to be. I would love to be.
You know, I think that more people in the patient community are not taking full advantage of peer-reviewed journals. You know, the abstracts that are fully available out on PubMed. I just think it's a widely available resource that people don't even know that they can access. Or they feel somewhat intimidated to, you know, by the scientific language. When in reality,
Yep.
not
Well,
so heavy duty.
right. And you know, what we do as an organization to try to curb that challenge in our own community is we have a volunteer PhD who's an expert in her own right, who studied SYNGAP1, is we take those really important papers that would benefit the information, and she writes articles in lay terms for us. And so we publish that in our newsletters, which really helps the families understand the science behind it, you know, because not everybody's a scientist.
About sharing
right?
some of those stories.
I would love
back and forth.
Yes, I can definitely do that. And just show, and she picks out the highlight points of what they did, how they did it, and what the outcome was.
You know, we can do it as like a, you know, give her a byline, and because that's good for her career, and then you know, include the SYNGAP1 Bridge the Gap logo, and then you guys get some traffic and everybody wins.
Yes, absolutely. I will definitely send those along, and I'm super excited about being able to share. And I'm hoping my book can get out at some point. I do have a book out, though. I do have Beckett's Journeys out on Amazon. Now, I don't have it in hardback yet, or hardcover. Plan on getting that, but
you know, send me a press release. And I will the hell out of it.
I will. I can't wait to have this other book that I'm writing is a memoir, and it's going to raise some eyebrows. Definitely gonna raise some eyebrows. I'm thinking, I asked Chris the other night. I haven't got an attorney. I do have an attorney, but I have a different kind of attorney. But I need to have I need to get another attorney. I might have to change the names to protect the guilty.
I can't wait to read it.
It won't be to protect the innocent, that's for damn sure. Oh, man. But anyway, no, it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a story that I hope will motivate people to take the struggles and the challenges that they think. You can either let it devastate you or not, and I want people to see where I came from, what I experienced, which isn't all roses, and you take it and you make it into something positive that's going to help the world. And every single person on the planet has the ability to do that. And you just can't let people that are jealous of you steer you from it.
Don't let those haters hate.
You can't let the haters, let the haters hate. You will never believe some of the stuff that I've heard that actually it becomes comical, because I'm like, if you really only knew, only because people just don't have lives and they don't know how to ask questions. And I wish, it happens to everybody, So, but I just find it funny, and I just don't let it scare me off, and I don't let people bully me anymore. I used to be bullied. I was the blonde airhead in high school. I was like, but I
do enjoy it when people, interact with you initially, and they assume that about you. Yeah. And then they, learn through one of your scientists, or kind of get to know the organization, and they learn that there's, the nice icing on top, and then the Teflon layer. And I'm like,
it can work to your advantage to get a lot of information that you normally might not have.
I agree.
Hey,
I agree. It's so nice to meet you.
I recommend a book. Read the 48 Laws of Power. It'll teach you a lot. It'll teach you a lot about people's mentality. And my other degree, I have a degree in biology, but my other my other studies in school, which was my minor, could have been my major, was psychology. And believe you me, I've had enough counseling. I could probably counsel anybody. No, but you just, I just am real with who I am. And I've learned that life is too short and don't change for anybody.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, people, you know, when you're a leader of an organization and you're a leader, I understand that there are expectations and you should probably behave certain ways. But there are, you know, if part of what you are is part of your personality and somebody doesn't like it, well, they can just not like it. Suck it up. I'm not changing for you. And I am who I am, and I will let other people be who they are. And I'm not going to judge them for that. And, you know, and I know, you know, and
I do.
A lot of people just don't, you know, they see the cover.
That from me. And
yeah. That's why I love you.
Honesty is my fatal flaw.
Yeah. And people want to see real. I hurt, I cry, you know, I laugh, and I am sarcastic as hell, but when it comes to my organization, when it comes to this science stuff, I mean business, and I don't play with that at all, because it's too important, because people's lives are at stake. And you know, but
so we do have one question before I lose you, and it's what would your advice to a modern generation of patients born in the late 90s? And I don't know if you have any sense of that. Now, if we get cut off, I just want to say a thank you in advance. Okay. Sarcasm as hell is cool. Like it.
Woohoo! I am. Oh my gosh. Be careful when you go on my Facebook. I'm just saying. I would have to say that, you know, I have children that I have young adult. My oldest child was 28 yesterday. I believe that they have a different perspective on life because they were born into technology, you know? I think that though I've noticed that there's a lot of insecurity in patients of that generation, because I think they socialize through the computer. And I would encourage all those people that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be assertive. I'm not talking about being rude. I'm talking about being assertive. And just because you're young doesn't mean you can't be confident. Doesn't mean you can't learn. I believe that regardless of your age, you should always be teachable. If you're teachable and you are willing to accept with an open mind, learning new things, you're going to be so much better off. And I have to say that goes for doctors and researchers. You get along better with doctors and researchers who want to learn from the patient. Yeah. And I believe patients of any age need to understand that, listen, just because they have a PhD behind their name does not mean that they are God and know everything.
No, they don't necessarily understand how a side effect on, a description put out by the manufacturer is affecting your body in particular. Right. So it's the onus is on you to really explain that and share that with the doc, and then work on a plan with the doc. The only way to know is if you share that information.
Yes, and I totally am a big believer in that, because otherwise Beckett wouldn't be diagnosed right now. Right. And because you are an expert, and I believe that patients, no matter how young you are feeling what you feel, and it's validated. You don't need validation from somebody to tell you how you're feeling, because your feelings and the way you feel, if you're sick, if you're suffering, that matters. And I believe that people need to be outspoken about that. because every person in this world matters. It doesn't matter your career, doesn't matter your education. God put you on this planet for a purpose, and that was to help people. And so I believe the younger generation, you know, they were brought up differently. I think technology, they are in tune with technology. A big problem I have with a lot of the technology is the fact that people don't know how to vet true sources anymore.
I know.
You've got to go, I think people need to go back to understanding what a primary source is. If you know what a primary source is.
You like kick into teacher mode.
Oh, I know. I mean, oh yeah. See, I've done so many dadgum research papers, and I've graded so many research papers. It's crazy. But I think you know, you need to fact check.
Yeah.
You know, and it needs to come from the horse's mouth. And if you can't find the horse's mouth, then you need to question everything about it. Don't believe everything that's put on a website. Mm-mm. You know, that's the worst thing you can do. People, you have to see people's actions, and you have to see the products that they are producing and their deliverables. If they are quality deliverables, and that includes organizations as well, you know, and companies. If you can see a quality deliverable, then you probably have a good, integratable, credible source. You know,
so this person just said assertive, open mind, dig deeply, fact check.
Correct.
I think you got it spot on. Life.
It is. And here's another thing. It's okay to be wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm wrong all the time. I'm told this by my children quite frequently. But you know what? If you're wrong, you just apologize maybe, and then correct your mistake.
Yeah.
And then you go on.
Just own it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this generation thinks they have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect.
Oh.
You don't have to be that Barbie doll on a magazine. You don't have to be.
Or Instagram.
That's right. Instagram. Shoot, I just posted a picture of me with no makeup sitting on a physical therapy table with stems on my back.
I love it.
You know, it's all about
hashtag no filter.
I know that, right? I know there was. Well, okay, maybe I did use a little bit of a filter, but I had really no makeup. I lied, but I didn't have my nails done. My nail lady's off right now. Oh, well, but anywho,
this has been fun. I think it has been. I hope it's been helpful to people to kind of see like a little bit about how the sausage is made. You know, just kind of like behind the scenes of how these organizations kind of come to be. Haley just joined. Haley. Hey, Haley. And by the way, thank you for not correcting me on how 7 p.m. is not actually the same thing as 3 p.m.
I'm so glad you told me.
Time change. Yeah.
I know. See, you know what? You have to think about how you do to other people how you would like to be treated.
Well, actually, I would have liked to have been told because I had it up there forever.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I thought you did. Oh, I thought it was on mine. I needed to correct my Instagram post, my time. I thought you were talking about
you
mine.
And me, and that's why I corrected that one. But Haley is in the UK, and I had Fran is in the UK, and I missed UK time.
I missed a webinar today because it was scheduled Eastern, not Central. So, hey, man.
And I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, no, I've missed very important calls because of this, and I had to go back crying and begging. Oh my God, this is not me. Please forgive me. And now that my days are off, I actually forgot it was Friday. Wednesday, I thought it was Monday. So, you know.
I don't think you're alone in that.
No, I don't think so either. This is like, I'm like waiting for zombies to come out now.
Knock on wood, no zombies.
No zombies.
No zombies. All right. Well, this was really fun. I think we need to do it some more. Please share
Absolutely.
those articles. Send me
will.
that link, and I will make sure I share it out. And yeah, let's do this some more.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, it was great, and everybody that joined us, I come follow me and follow Living Well, and we'll have a good old time. Okay. Yeah, and I am sarcastic. I try to come up with some really good one-liners on Facebook. So
that's
guys,
guys.
That's not org stuff. That's personal.
I can't. Nope. That's
no, but I do have a professional page.
And you know, Monica.
Yeah, I have a Monica Weldon professional public page, so you can come follow that. My other stuff's for my friends. I mean, not that you are all my friends. You're my friends.
Oh my God, we're devolving.
I know, right? Okay, well, I want everybody to have a great weekend. Thanks for having me on again, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Always.
It's been fun. We'll have new tales to tell.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, awesome.
Right.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.